ends in a 0-0 stalemate. Well, it was two incredibly well-matched teams. Inter were outstanding defensively, but there were just a few moments when they lost their concentration, and İlkay Gündoğan had the two big moments in the game. One a header from just in front of the goalkeeper that he put right at Jan Sommer, and the other a flying header in the final minute of added time that he put over the crossbar. Well, Inter came for a draw, I suspect, and they have got exactly what they came for. And the final score ends in a 0-0 draw on a night when the Champions League in its new format kicks off with City's first of 8 games in the new league phase. The final score at the Etihad Stadium, City 0, Inter 0. Well, let's go back to the studio and we can join Izzy, Michael and Kel.
Good evening, full time at the Etihad Stadium, and you can see it there on your screens. Manchester City 0, Inter 0. A very, very tense and tight affair. Two fantastic teams on show. City coming so close in the last 8 minutes to finding a winner in the form of İlkay Gündoğan. So unlucky not to find that goal to get us those 3 points, but it finishes Manchester City 0, Milan 0. Izzy and Michael Brown are with me in the studio. Michael, first half was what we expected, very much the same order of play in the second half.
Yeah, very much so, but there was big chances there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, we made the change at half-time. We were thinking, is Pep going to change too much? Obviously sent Bernardo on that right-hand side, Phil Foden in the areas that we said he's good at and what he can do. İlkay Gündoğan having the ability to have late runs, that understanding, the knowledge how to play in these games. Timing's obviously very, very good from him, but ultimately, after those couple of chances, Phil had a great one, didn't he, with his right foot. Just couldn't find the corner, and those two headed chances for İlkay Gündoğan just didn't go their way. I think you're seeing the disappointment towards the end there with the players not getting the 3 points, but overall you've got to say, do you know what, it's not the worst result. It's a point. We're off and running, tough side, and you give the respect to the away team at times.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a brilliant Inter Milan team and performance. We have entered this new format in the Champions League. Izzy, will you take a point for the first game of the competition, especially with it being against the calibre of opponent that is Inter Milan?
Yeah, I think hindsight, yeah, I think so. I think normally we'd expect City to win against any side in Europe, really do, you know, given the level of the squad at City and the players we've got. But yeah, I think early days, and you've got to understand the context of the game as well. Inter defended really, really well tonight, and I think they had a good base, a good structure. They played on the counter-attack. They had a plan, but City did create chances, some good chances in that match, first half, and of course finishing very strong at the end with Gündoğan arriving late. And it's probably not many other players you'd want in that position than Gündoğan. No. Over the years, he's done that so many times in a City shirt. But yeah, it was difficult header in the end. It looked like a fantastic cross from Doku, but yeah, it just wasn't to be tonight. But like you say, it's okay, it's a point, and they march on to Sunday.
They do indeed. We'll be talking about Sunday in just a little bit as well, because our attention does turn to Arsenal. But let's get the thoughts pitch side now. I believe we can head down, see what Andy Morrison made of the game.
Yes, full time at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 0, Inter Milan 0. Very tight game, very tight affair. Similar to Istanbul, we just didn't have that moment of magic.
No, it was. I mean, it's two worthy champions, you know, of their own leagues, and you know, I'm not going to say that they sort of nullified each other, but because it seemed a slightly open game at times. But you know, I think it's a worthy point for both teams. I thought they were excellent.
Yeah, I mean, quite simply, you wouldn't play champions from another team at this stage in the old format. We're in the new format now. It was a big change in quality. You've seen City roll over their opponents in group stages. They won't be worried at all, will they? No,
absolutely. Like you rightly say, it's the champions of Italy. And I never, you know, before the game coming into it, I didn't expect to see that quality. They were much better than what I probably gave them credit for. In the games I've watched this week, I never saw that, and I thought they were magnificent.
And speaking of magnificent, Jack Grealish once again playing at such a high level, causing problems. He seems to be back to his best now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's playing really, really well. You know, he's back to that where he floats over the pitch, causing problems, and I thought Guardiola, you wouldn't see it, but Guardiola was magnificent tonight. There was key moments where he, was the difference in them having opportunities. And, right at the end, we could have won it with a couple of chances.
And for everyone who's getting worried at home, of course, this is a league format now. And if there's a team that you want in a league format of any competition, it's Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite strange that Inter Milan, that game's worthy of a quarter-final, semi-final. Such was the quality we saw tonight. And it was like a game of chess, it was, the detail was so fine. And credit to both teams, and I think it's a worthy point, and I think they'll both look back at it and be happy with the outcome.
Yeah, and definitely from a defensive point of view for City as well. A clean sheet against the champions of Italy. They had their chances as well, but we defended really well at moments.
Yeah, we did, and we were always defending the counter-attack because they're excellent. And, in Barella, I just thought I thought he was the outstanding player on the pitch. What a performance for him tonight coming here. And every time the transition happened, his first pass was perfect, and it was a pleasure to watch it tonight.
It was indeed a pleasure to watch it. And now moving on to Sunday, another game for this group of players, which we expect to be such high quality. Arsenal looking like potential title contenders again this season for you? Yeah,
without a shadow of doubt. I think they will be the main threat to Manchester City along with Liverpool. But yeah, what a game, Inter Milan at home on a Wednesday night, FG, and then going Arsenal in the Premier League at the weekend. I can't wait. I think there'll be a couple of changes. I think we'll see things freshen up again. But what a mouth-watering fixture.
And then we've got the EFL Cup 2 days later as well. It just doesn't stop for this group of players. Thank you so much for your incredible work today. We'll head back to the studio and we will see you on Sunday.
Look forward to it, FG. Thank you, mate. Thank you, Andy Morrison and Alistair Mann, as always, on commentary. Something interesting Andy said there, Michael. It was very much like a chess game. I think Pep spoke as well that tactically City have to tweak a few things because of the threats that Inter Milan carry. Really felt like that today with what we saw on the pitch.
Well, that's what you've tactically got to be aware, isn't it? How much you show your hand. We talked at half-time about do you put Jeremy Doku on open the game? Then you're susceptible for the counter-attack. So it's all that's something you think about always. I think the manager himself, he tries to have full control rather than certain areas, and he believes his remit will keep coming good at the right time. That is like, you talk about the chess game, you see, well, you're waiting, you don't rush, you be patient, and that's the manager's philosophy. I think two excellent managers, with great players, and it's tough standards. That little bit of detail in areas that you don't want to give away could be the difference. And going forward, that's what's going to be so important. If you want to win this trophy, overall, you're going to have to be very, very consistent, very, very balanced. And it is an interesting game. Just fine margins all the time.
Absolutely.
It is. And speaking of those fine margins, you touched upon it before, Izzy, but we were so close to grabbing a goal. We had a couple chances. We had the Phil Foden one you mentioned, but Gundogan, it was actually the passing for that Phil Foden chance was beautiful, but the two Gundogan chances, particularly that last one in the final 30 seconds, that could have been the difference.
Yeah, midfielders arriving late in the box, I love it. It's the best part of football, honestly, and I don't see many better in the game, in the current game than Ilkay Gundogan. He's done it, a number of times in a City shirt before. He's now back at the club. And he's doing the same thing as he did before he left. So, I think it was a difficult header to execute. The ball in from Doku was excellent. I thought the cross was brilliant, the composure on it. It was so inviting, but it was just, he was stretching it. He did really well to get onto it, but he just couldn't get over the ball enough to guide it downwards. And it would have been in the back of the net if he managed to keep it under the bar. But, it just wasn't to be tonight. But I think City, they're going into the game on Sunday hungry, without a doubt. I think the new format, the Champions League, helps them out in this competition a little bit with regards to the point on the board, and they move on.
They move on indeed. We're going to look to Sunday in just a second. Just wanted to get a quick mention because we saw Phil Foden come onto the pitch at half-time. He nearly flipping scored straight away with one of those ones where he brings it onto his left, which we saw so many times last season. But great to see him back on the pitch because he was ill and didn't really get the run of games before the international break, Brownie. How important is it getting minutes in his legs, and just what did you make of his cameo as well?
It's so important. I think he's a real leader now for the group. Not just that younger player with all the talent in all the world, but he executes it now. He's got an understanding, a level of aura. The manager gets that now with him. But He's missed some minutes. Now he's got to get back up to speed. It takes a couple of weeks. Great to get a half into him. Towards the weekend, if he's going to be involved, I certainly hope so. I just think he's an amazing talent. He's exciting. He does things differently that other people cannot do.
Yeah.
Straight away he's involved. There was a foul on him. He draws it, gets up. He wants to look forward. So straight away he's looking to spot it. Let's get going quickly. He wants to play at a high tempo because physically he can do that. So he gets his chance. I think if he's on the left foot, it's going to be a goal. He can pick either way. Right foot, goalkeeper reads it slightly, but he'll be disappointed right in front of goal with that sort of chance. But coming on, at that time, it takes a little bit of time, and it'd be great to have him back in full stride.
Absolutely. Well, let's turn our attention to this weekend then. So that is 1 point on the board in this new Champions League format. Now we turn to an unbelievable double-header as both our Manchester City teams are taking on Arsenal. And you guessed it, myself and Matchday Live are with you every step of the way. So for the Arsenal game in the WSL, I'll be joined by KB, Karen Bardsley and Tash. And then in the afternoon, I'll be joined by Mr. Paul Dickoff and Niall Quinn. Izzy, how important was the result in Paris this evening? Manchester City women's team winning 5-0 in the first leg of that UEFA Champions League qualifier against Paris FC. How important is that? And what are your thoughts for the fixture against Arsenal? As we know, title contenders, of course, for the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think, big statement of intent, I think, tonight from City. To go over there, to be gearing up now, the players will be fit, firing, ready to go. And I think Paris FC have clearly been on the receiving end of a very hungry City team that are looking to, over the course of this campaign, I think they'll be looking to get their hands on that WSL trophy, which will be the aim every single season for Manchester City side. But I think this season especially, they're getting closer and closer. And yeah, good assertive performance tonight. I've seen a couple of the goals on social media. Jess Park looked like she was on fire. So yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's teed up right nicely on the tee for that game at the Emirates on Sunday morning, or Sunday early afternoon, should I say. Can't wait for it, and hopefully it'll be another City win.
Quick word as well, you mentioned Jess Park, 2 goals and an assist, Fowler with a goal as well, and brand new signing, of course, former Arsenal player, Miedemar, getting on the score sheet as well. And I tell you what, I'm excited to see if her and Bunny Shaw will be lining up together as well, because that feels like quite the pairing and a real threat, not just for the WSL, but for any team City facing the season. Yeah,
it could be frightening. You throw Lauren Hemp's name in there as well, Mary Fowler's name in. Gosh, Yui Hasegawa, Alex Greenwood. There's some top players at this football club. But yeah, I think Viv Miedemar, I've just read a quote online from Gareth Taylor as well, saying as soon as she opened the scoring tonight in the Champions League, he said that sent a wave of confidence through the team. And I think that's what you signed her for. Yeah. And I think there's probably been a little bit of back and forth conversations between the staff whether to start her tonight. But to start her, for her to open the scoring, massive name, and let's see if she can have some fantastic moments in the City shirt.
Wicked. Well, listen, make sure you join us for that. As I say, I'll be with KB and with Tash. And then we'll be turning our attentions to the all-important Premier League game of Man City versus Arsenal in the Premier League for our men's team, Brownie. Thoughts on that fixture, of course. We know these are 2 teams that have gone head-to-head for the last couple of seasons now, and it'll be a key game again. Feels like it's come quite early on.
Brilliant game ahead. Tactically, the 2 managers, Mikel Arteta, knows Pep so well. I think he's got a wonderful side now, the style of how they play, how they go about their job. I think they're getting stronger and stronger, the squad depth as well, the confidence. The 2 centre-backs are really important for them. They missed Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard last week in the North London derby. They come through that, and that was a big statement win. I think that will give them a lot of belief right throughout the football club. And it's now whether they'll go on a high press, whether they'll leave Erling Haaland with the 2 centre-backs, where they'll give a bit more attention, but they'll have Declan Rice back in there. So I think at that point, that's a very, very important key player for them. But City are going to go and approach it in a fast, dynamic way, as we expect, whether 1 or 2 changes. That doesn't really matter. I think it's about the performance on the day, exciting title challenges ahead, and they're pushing City all the way, and rightly so, that they're making City work that little bit harder. I think it's going to be a great game. Yeah. Great, I think, tactically, the players, the confidence, and what we're going to see is a true Premier League game. And I think that's really going to be the pinnacle game of the season so far.
It's interesting. I love little synergies like this. But 0-0 tonight in the Champions League. And we were just saying there with the gallery, when was the last time we had a 0-0 and City didn't score at home? Well, it was in March when we played Arsenal. Can you see that being the case this weekend, or maybe not, Brownie?
I hope not, Kel.
Actually.
Come on.
I agree.
Don't start putting those ideas to us. We want to see lots of goals. We want to see it. I'm not sure Pep will want to see it end-to-end, but I'd love an end-to-end, proper high-scoring game. I think it'd be brilliant to watch. And from a neutral football perspective, how you see them going toe-to-toe, that would be excellent. I don't know if we'll get one of those. How brave will they come here? Will they come right at it? Will they sit in it slightly? I think they've got talented players. I think it'll be a great game. I think we've seen Mikel Arteta do so many different things, but Pep just has that little bit of showmanship, experience just ahead of him and ahead of Arsenal at the moment. I think the players will be confident that they can go and get a win at the Etihad. I don't know what you think, Izzy. I think it's there for City to go and win.
Yeah, and it's got to be. You've got to think, if they are our title contenders, getting 3 points at home is key to your title charge, I feel, is it?
100%. But if you look at the league already, City are unbeaten, maximum points, 12 points, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Arsenal have dropped points already this season. So if we're talking fine margins in May, when the season's over, and there's somebody's got their hands on the trophy, hopefully it's Manchester City.
Yeah.
But it's going to be tight nonetheless. For Arsenal, they need to go for it.
Yeah.
And what that will then do to the game, like you say, will be fascinating, because Arsenal have to do something different. They can't sit in.
No.
They can't just do what they did last season if they want to actually win the game. They've got to do something different, and I think that's what makes it a little bit more exciting. So what they do, City will be waiting.
Yeah. They'll
be waiting to pounce on whatever they do, and they'll exploit it. So I think it's a big game for the fans, massive. I think the Etihad will be rocking. The atmosphere will play a massive part in the fixture, as it always does. And yeah, I wish I could be there, but I'll be on a train watching it on the way back from London. So hopefully the signal's good.
Yeah, we'll be thinking of you. And it's probably worth pointing out, because I'm sure Mikel Arteta will be sure to remind us over the next few days that Arsenal to play tomorrow against Atlanta. So
I think you'll hear that a few times.
Yeah, you talk about fine margins, fine details. Arguably, this is one that's maybe just lent in City's favour a little bit, Brownie.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any hiding place for that. I think one extra day recovery is so important in the middle of the week. That is a big advantage. But of all sides who can still react and still recover from it, there might be one or two changes for him. So I think it's a factor, but it's not going to be everything.
Yeah.
It's just about the result. I think Arsenal will come and be delighted if they can go away with a draw.
Yep.
Yeah.
City, not so much.
Indeed, and that's the mentality that Rodri was talking about. That's the difference, guys. Listen, what an absolute treat it's been. What a night of football as well. Our women's team winning 5-0 over in Paris. We, of course, kicking off our brand new format of the Champions League with a 0-0 draw, 1 point on the board, and then we've got a big double header on Sunday. I'll be joining you for both. So remember, we have got the women taking on Arsenal in the WSL in the early afternoon. Then straight after that, I'll be bringing you the men's game as well. I want to say a massive thank you to Izzy, massive thank you to Brownie, and thank you to all of you for watching around the world. It's finished Manchester City 0, Inter Milan 0, and I must say the shirt was lucky because they didn't lose, and that's always the most important thing. They were wearing our brand new Definitely City strip, our special fourth kit. We've got a little film to finish off with, and make sure you go check out that range. But thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday. Good night.
That's a proper honour, yeah. In this town, once you're blue or a red, that's it. That's the end of it.
Why did you do it to yourselves? You just get born with it, didn't you?
The first game I went to was at home to Newcastle. We beat Newcastle 4 or 5-1. And then when we moved to Burnage, the bedroom that me and Liam had, out the bedroom you could see the floodlights from Main Road in the distance. When we were teenagers, we would walk to the match, And then it wasn't that long after that you couldn't go to the match because we became famous and all that kind of thing. I remember when we became famous and sitting in the main stand for the first time and thinking, oh, this is what it's like over here. I'd never been over there. I'd only ever been on the Kippax. One of the great days of my life was when we were away at Brighton on the last day of the season. We had to win that game. We were in the dressing room afterwards with the players and with my best mate, and Kevin De Bruyne was handing me a beer. How did it get any better than this, And I've had some great times with the players. And what you see from the outside is true. They're a really tight, brilliant bunch of lads, funny and really accommodating and I never take it for granted either, you know, it's an amazing privilege. I loved City before anything. I was into City before I was into music. I was into City before I knew what music was. Definitely maybe. It's what set us on our way, you know what I mean? The record lasting as long, you can't predict that kind of thing. When I see kids at the gigs now, they're young enough that definitely maybe has always been around. It's a great working class Mancunian record. It's real, you know. When the guys from Puma approached us at one of the games, it took about 5 seconds to agree to it. It's the same colour palette as the cover of Definitely Maybe. I think it's unique, but it's definitely striking, and I think it looks great. When you see people representing your club, it's important that they look good. Definitely Maybe. It's never lost its magic to me. I just think it's an amazing snapshot of what we were about. With the anniversary coming up, I've been listening to it a lot more than I would ever listen to it. You know, it makes me smile. They were great. They were great times. Really, really great. I mean, it spawned a great football kit. So, you know, its legacy lives on.